What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about complex site design inside of Revit. So a couple of months ago I have released a course called Site Design and Coordination inside of Revit, and kind of for promotional purposes I have created this kind of cool site design, just kind of to use it as a thumbnail, as an image. And I guess it has attracted a lot of attention, and a lot of you guys have asked me, well, how do you model something like that? And I decided, well, why not create a tutorial just on that particular site? How do we model something like that inside of Revit? And that's what we're doing today. Obviously, if you want to learn more about site design, you can check out the entire course. Now, that's only going to be kind of the first half of this tutorial. As part of the second half of the tutorial, I'm going to be talking about the environment plugin. So you're probably already familiar with the environment plugin. It has all of these extra tools for site design in Revit, tools that Revit unfortunately doesn't offer, but luckily we have a plugin for that. And you probably know about it, but you probably don't know that it has been updated recently, and we have some cool new tools exactly for designing the site. So I'm just going to be kind of overviewing all of those tools for site design, all of the new features that are available with the latest update. As part of that course, you will get extra 3 months extended trial for free, and also as part of the course you will learn about all of the features of the environment plugin. Now also, if you want to purchase the plugin afterwards, you can use this coupon code and you will get extra 55 days on your subscription, which I think it's a really cool deal. Okay, so now without any further ado, let's jump into Revit and let us now talk first about complex site design. So here you can see I have that building and I have the road that we have here. And when it comes to site design, you're usually going to have one of two kind of approaches. The first approach is going to be when you get a site from a surveyor, and then you can generate that inside of Revit. I talk about this in depth inside of the course, so I'm not going to be talking about that now here. But the second kind of approach is when you have the building, but you want to model the site kind of as context. This is especially important if you're an architecture student. You usually want to have that site as part of the context, but it can be really difficult inside of Revit because Revit can be so kind of complicated when it comes to using all of the site tools. So I'm going to be showing you kind of that second approach when you already have the building, but you want to add that site as part of the context, the surroundings of your building. So let's take a look at how that is done. So what you want to do first is move to the site plan here. There we go. So once we're at the site plan, usually I just like to create the site plan or kind of generate a surface which isn't going to be fitting in perfectly, but we have a starting point. So you're just going to throw it out there and then you start adapting it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here to Topo Surface, go to Place Point, and usually what I like to do is just place one point first. So just one point like that. Hit the Escape key a few times. Then I'm going to select that, go to Copy, check Multiple, and then I'm just going to copy it multiple times, perhaps once every 12 meters, like that. Let's do it a few more times. There we go. I think we have now enough. Okay, so once we have all of these, let's set their elevation, and actually I want these to be at -6 meters, just like that. Then I can select them, I can copy them, and I'm just going to copy them a little bit like this. Hit the Escape key only once, so they're still selected, only the copied ones are selected. So now you can just change the elevation here. Let's go to -5, and then let's select them again, go to Copy, move again, hit the Escape key again just once, and then we can move these to -4. So I'm just going to continue like that. So the next step, let's go here all the way to the road, like so, Escape, -3, and then you just want to go again, Copy, and you just want to kind of continue that. So these, let's go here, this can be -2, copy, this can perhaps be, or no, let's move it up a little bit. So you can always go to the move tool, yeah, here. And this can be -1, copy, 0, and then you can go kind of positive. So let's go here to 1, go to 2, three, and finally let's go for kind of a little bit further away. And there we go, we have our surface. Okay, so now once we have the surface, what you want to do next is just go to the 3D view just to see what we have, and obviously this doesn't look too good, and that's okay. That's kind of a good starting point, and then it's time to adapt all of this to our building and all of the kind of building elements that we have on screen. So what I like to do is I like to go back to the site plan. Here, make sure that the site plan is always in the wireframe view mode, because if it was in hidden line, you wouldn't really see anything. So I like to keep it at wireframe because it's so much easier to see what's going on. So now let's first adapt our topography to the road that we have here and this bearing wall that we want to have. So, or not bearing, retaining wall, sorry. Okay, so let's go to the site plan, and now I'm just going to select this road, which is just a simple floor, and you can see that this is at -3 meters. So we want the site to be at kind of a little bit below that, so -3.1 would probably be the perfect elevation. So you just select that topography, you go into edit surface, and then what you can do here is simply, for example, select these points here, these 5 points. I'm going to move them a little bit, so just move them all the way to the road, and then I can say, okay, this should be -3.1. Go back here, hit finish, and now if I go to the 3D view, you can see that we have kind of uncovered that one part of the road. Okay, so we now want to move forward, so let's select the topo surface again, edit surface. So I'm actually just going to select all of these points like that. Perhaps we don't need this one, so just these. Go to copy, and then you copy it up to here. You go back here, and now we have cleared the road. We still have the sidewalk, but at least the road is cleared. Okay, so now we can go back to the site plan, hit the escape key a few times, hit finish. Now the sidewalk, you can see that the sidewalk is at -2.8. So we want the topo surface to be kind of on this side of the sidewalk at -2.9. So I'm just adding 10 centimeters. So I'm just going to select this again, go into edit surface. So what I can do here is simply select all of these, go to copy, move them here. There we go. Hit the escape key only once, and then this, as we said, this should be -2.9. There we go. Finish, and now go to the 3D view just to check, and as you can see, this looks much better now. So it's starting to kind of fit in slowly. Also here we have an issue with the road, so perhaps we can go here and copy this one here, and then here as well. And hopefully, yeah, that will kind of clear our road. Now here, what you'll see is that here we have this kind of small retaining wall, and let's say that we don't want to have this kind of hole here of the topography. So what we can do is we can go back to the site plan, and then if I hit the escape key a few times, this was at -310. So I can create a point here at -2.7 perhaps, and then place just a few points here. Or I think 2 would be enough. Let's see. And then go to the 3D view. So as you can see, it's already higher here. So I can select both of them by holding the control key, and then perhaps instead of 2.7, you can go to 2.5. Okay, this seems a little bit better now. It did mess things up here in the middle, but that's okay, we can fix that. So that's because of the side kind of this. See, this connected with this point, and then it brought everything up. So if I select this point and copy it, move it here, it should fix that. There we go. So as you can see, it kind of fixed that issue. Again, we have an issue here, so we can select this point, copy, place it here, and that kind of solves that issue. We can select it again, copy it here. You can move it with the arrow keys, and this, yeah, so it kind of clears that area. So as you can see, it's just a lot of this kind of back and forth to adapt everything. Again, here with this retaining wall, what I would also do is just place a few more points. So here, for example, these are at -2.9. So I would take this point, or let's see, where is that? Yeah, this one is a bit too low, perhaps. So I can select this one, move it down all the way to the other side of the wall, and then instead of -2 we can go -1. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, might be a bit too high, so let's try -1.5. Okay, that looks a lot better. Again, here we seem to have a little bit of a spillage, so let's go back here, and then we can select this point. This is at -2. So we can, let's copy that one perhaps somewhere, or what you can do, instead of copying points, you can go to place point, but instead of absolute elevation, go to relative to surface. So what this does is when you place a point, it's just going to add an additional point at that elevation. Now it did mess things up here, but don't worry, we can fix that. But it's important to have the ability to select this point and then go to down to -2.4, 2.3, or no, 5. Yeah, okay, this will work. I'm just trying to kind of make sure that this connection here works, and it seems to work right now. And then, because it's messing things up here, we can just select these 2 points, go to copy, and place them right in front of that point, and that should fix things. And it did. So as you can see, it's just adding additional points along the way. And we can do the same thing with the house. So I can go here to the house, I can select, we need to hit finish first, select that floor. We can see the floor is at level 0, so the points obviously should be, as I said, 10 centimeters below, so -0.1. So what you can do is again select the site plan, go into edit surface, place point, or we can select this point. This one is at -1, that definitely doesn't work, so we can just delete that one. Place point at -0.1, and then we can just go all the way around like so, placing additional points, just making sure that this is kind of at the correct elevation. Okay, we'll fix that issue there. But there we go, this is basically what we want to see. So this one I want it to be in a corner. Okay, now we have these points inside. This one is at 0, this one is at 0. We can just delete those, we don't want those. And now when I go to the 3D view, it's starting to look like this. Now I have noticed that I have made an issue, or made a mistake. So remember here, when I changed this to relative to surface, I should have changed that back to absolute elevation, and it didn't. So it did this, which is terrible. So what you can do is just not save the changes. Okay, yes. And let's, oops. Yeah, okay, so we haven't saved the changes, perfect. So let's now go back to the site plan, place point, instead of relative to surface, absolute elevation, and now -0.1. So you'll make mistakes as I make mistakes, so that's okay, but it's just important to go back when you do that. Okay, so now we have all of these points in correct place, and now you'll see how the surface is going to start looking much better. There we go, and then we can delete the ones in the middle, like so. And now when I go to the 3D view, as you can see, it's starting to look a lot better. Also, something that you can do, and what I like to do, is when I'm working with typography, because most things you're going to have to kind of place in the site plan, but then you want to see that in the 3D view, so you can just undock the 3D view here and then perhaps dock it off to the side, so you can kind of have that 3D view there above, and you can have the site plan here, so you can kind of work at both. So I can actually make this a bit smaller. I don't need the 3D to be that big. And then I can select this, and then I can kind of continue working. Another additional thing that you should be able to do, let's see, so here if I place a spot elevation, I can get like elevation at these points here. Unfortunately, it doesn't report decimal places, so I can go to the units format and add a couple of decimal places. Okay, and now as you can see here, I can see that, oh, it must be on typography, so that's why it's changing so much. Yeah, so unfortunately this isn't going to help that much. I think the typography is kind of giving us an issue here, so that's a little bit annoying, but that's okay. So anyways, now we can continue, and you can kind of continue playing with those points. I think you get the idea. So here we have another issue with that, so we can go into edit surface. So here we need to add some additional points, so you can select this point, go to copy, and as you can see, it's fixing that. But then I want to add these points as well on the bottom, so it kind of balances things out, and now we no longer have that issue here that we had. And then you can just play around. So for example, here, let's say I want to bring this up. I don't want it to be kind of like this going straight down. I want to have kind of a little curvature there. What I can do is I can just come and place a point, and again use relative to surface, set it to something like 0.5, so that's kind of half a meter, and now I can just place a few of those points there, and as you can see, it's just going to kind of bring things a little bit up here in the 3D view. See how it kind of brings things up? Perhaps it was a bit too much, so I can lower that a little bit. Oops, no, 9 I think. So you do have to do a little bit of math here when you're adjusting these, but I think you get the point. So this should be 1.1 I think. So I'm just putting them a bit lower. There we go. And as you can see, it's starting to have that kind of pronounced part. And then of course here we have the gap, so we can fix that gap by perhaps deleting this point. There we go, that fixes it. So there we go. So it's a lot of back and forth, but try to work in both your site plan and 3D view, and then you can kind of adapt things a lot easier. And this is already starting to look good here in front of the house. Obviously we have an issue with the stair. So with the stair, unfortunately, you don't have much choice. So what you have to do is just select that surface, and this is kind of the last thing that I'm going to be showing you for now for this, because I don't want it to take too long. So again, I'm going to go relative to surface and then set this to 0, and then here we can just place a bunch of points kind of on the edges of this stair. And then once you have those points, you can actually edit them. I prefer editing them in the 3D view. Okay, so here I don't want this point anymore. Okay, so you can just select them and then you can move them down, for example. So 2.5, let's see. Okay, that works. Here 2.02. There we go, this one. So you're just kind of playing around with them. This one works. This one should be lower. So it's not really that difficult. Okay, these kind of work. This one perhaps should be a bit lower. There we go. And then this one definitely should be at least 2. There we go. So as you can see, it's not that difficult. Okay, here we have an issue point down there. If we delete it, it's going to fix it. So as you can see, you can still clean this stair up and it looks fairly natural. Perhaps if we bring this one up just a little bit. Oops, that was down. 65. There we go. And then to clean it up on the other side, you just go back to the site plan here. So remember, as I said, kind of toggling in between these, that works really good here. And then you just basically copy this to the other side. And now, if we take a look here, as you can see, it cleans that stair up from that typography. So you would basically continue that for the rest of this. I don't want this to take way too long, so I'm just going to stop here. And now it's time to talk about the new features on the Environment tab. And now let's start exploring the environment tools, or the new tools with the latest update. So you can find the tools here where kind of the typography tools were before. Now here we have the new kind of typography tools. This is the beta testing version, you can see. And this is if you want to build a new topo surface. Now in this case, I don't want to build a new one. I want to edit this one. So I'll just go here to the site plan, and then I'm going to select this topo surface and just go into typography tools. So it's going to be available there, and here we have this panel. I actually really like the fact that it's a floating panel, so we can kind of move it around if we want. And here we have all of the tools. So first I want to start off with the selection tools that we have here. So here we have multiple selection tools. And now in terms of selecting, you can just come in here and select individual points. You can hold the control key to add to selection, hold the shift key to remove from selection. So it works basically like just like in Revit. In regular Revit tools. You can also make cross selections. Just keep in mind that if you do it too quickly, it might start kind of a little bit below. So just make sure to do it a little bit slower, and then it's not going to give you those issues. Okay, so that's kind of basic selection. Now let's talk about the advanced selections that we get here with the new typography tools, or edit typography tools. So the first one is points on boundary. So I really like this because it allows you to click here, you select one point, and then you can just drag this out, and you can see you get this line that's basically connecting points. So you can select multiple points on one boundary really easily. So it's just going to select points on one boundary, and then you can edit them if you want. Obviously they're not at the same elevation and they're just connected by a boundary, so you can use that tool for that. Okay, moving forward, you have the draw selection region. Now I really love this tool. I think this is a game changer, and I don't know why Revit doesn't have this, but it doesn't, and the environment plugin does, so that's good. So you basically click here on draw selection region, and then if you want to select certain points in a certain region where you can't really kind of drag and select because you would select multiple points that you don't need, with this you can just kind of draw out a selection region, and you can just do it like that. See how cool it is? And then you can just select the points that you want to select. You go to apply selection region, and now those points will be selected, and then you can manipulate those points. So that's also something really good. Moving forward, let's take a look at get connected points. So what this does is this basically allows you to select one point, and then when you click get connected points, it's going to select all of the points that are on the same elevation. Now it's not going to select all points. If you have, let's say, a complex topography where you have kind of multiple hills, I guess you can say, if you have two enclosed circles in terms of contour lines, it's only going to select one circle of contour lines. So this is basically if you want to select one contour line, it's going to connect all points inside of that one contour line. So that's basically how this works. Again, really useful. Now when you select these points here, it's going to display the elevation of those points, and then here you also have elevation, change elevation. So I really like this. You might remember kind of in the beginning of this tutorial when we were setting this up and all of these points. When you want to kind of manipulate one particular point, here for example I had to select one point and then I would kind of change the elevation a little bit. Now that's really annoying because you have to do the math, and here you can just go minus 0.1, click change elevation. It's just going to change that point by minus 0.1 meter. Click change elevation, there we go. So it's going to do that. Now we're changing it multiple times probably. So there we go. So I think that's really useful to have that ability to change elevation of that one point. Also we have the vertical line. Now this would be useful, and let me just here, can I go to the 3D view? Yeah. So here on the 3D view, let's say you want to align something vertically, this is going to allow you to do that. So if you want to align any points, you can do that. So you can select. So once you select a point, you can go here to vertical align, and then if I select the top of this surface, it's, oops, did I select the point? There, I did. Okay, so now it's just going to move that point to top of that surface. So that's the vertical line. I think that is a really useful feature. Also we have the move feature, which allows you to move the element. We have copy, which obviously copies the element, and then we have delete if you want to delete. So those are kind of very similar to regular Revit tools. So I'm just going to move this a little bit back. There we go. Now let's explore the rest of these. So we have place point, which kind of basic, just works just like Revit place point. But then also we have this add line option. Now this is really powerful. So what this allows you to do, and let me escape out of this, you can actually create model lines and then use those model lines in order to shape geometry. Now I have talked about this in one of the previous videos where I talked about the environment plugin and how you can generate topography from contour lines. I'm going to link that up in the cards above, so you can check that out if you want. So here I'm just going to add a simple kind of chain of lines, just like that. Hit the escape key a few times. So now if I select the topography and go to the new topography tools, if I go here to add line, here I can select these line segments. I can use the control key to add additional line segments, or use the shift key to remove line segments, or I can just highlight one of them and then hit the tab key and select the entire chain of lines. Now once we do this, here we can set this up. So do we want to use smart point? So you can see that here it has kind of some strange order of these points. So it's has kind of different distances, and basically it's using the triangulation of the topography in order to determine where do you need points, so it kind of flows naturally with the existing topography, which is really smart. That's why it's called Smart Point. But anyways, you can go to custom settings, and then you have a couple of options. You have distance between points, so points at each 3 meters, or you can divide lines into segments, and then each line is divided, in this case, into 5 points. Also here you'll notice that we have an option to use lines from links. So this would basically allow you to it would allow you to use kind of links or lines that are part of links in order to generate these points. Okay, let's move forward. Then we have the from edge option. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to select a certain edge, and then it's going to basically allow you to place points on that edge. So here, as you can see, it just placed a bunch of points here on this edge. Now you can do the whole edge, or you can do one point, and then you can kind of just place individual points. You can also give it a height offset. So if I want to give it like a minus 0.1 height offset and then insert those points, as you can see we have a bunch of these points at minus 0.1 meters. So that kind of gives us that kind of solution in terms of the height offset, and that I really like. Okay, let's insert those points. Then we have the pick face. Now this one is really powerful as well. So for example, I was showing you how you can kind of adapt the typography to the stairs that we have here, and I have shown you how we can kind of manually adjust that. Now imagine if we did that for this spiral ramp here. I think that would be a nightmare. So you do have the pick faces option, and here you can set up the accuracy. This means the amount of points. So I'm just going to set that to the lowest amount. And you can specify the whole face or specify mesh. I'm just going to go with the whole face. And then I can just select the bottom face of this, and it's going to include as many points as it needs to generate the surface. And as I said here, by accuracy you can insert more or less points. So this is more points. I usually like to keep it simple, not too complicated, and also you can give it a height offset. So if you want these to go above a little bit, so I can add like a plus 0.1 offset, insert points. So now those points have been inserted there in the so for that, yeah, so they have been inserted there, and the typography now follows this curvature a lot better. Still, we have this point here, which if I delete, now as you can see it looks perfect. So if I hit finish, yeah, this now looks a lot better. So remember here where we had a straight line, how much time it took to fix this, and this was just kind of a couple of clicks and you're done. So I think this is a really powerful tool where you just pick a surface and it generates points along that surface. Now finally, I just want to show you one more tool. So if I select the typography here and go to typography tools, here we have this slope path tool, and this allows you to create, well, a sloped path. So you can just select one of these existing points here and kind of extend a line from that. And what you'll see is here it's going to kind of figure out the elevation of that line, and it's going to create first a straight line, so both the start and the end are at -3 meters, but you can customize this. So you can set it to 0, so now it kind of slopes up, or you can set it to -5, and then it slopes down. So kind of that's the whole idea. Also here you can switch this from elevation to slope. So instead of entering the elevation here, you can specify the slope. So if you know that you want this to be at, I don't know, something like -3, I can just type in -3%, or sorry, 3 degrees, and it's going to generate a line that's at -3 degrees slope. And also here you can arc that both to the left and to the right by using this slider, which is really useful. And then once you're happy with the changes, you can just go here to finish, and yes, we want to insert these points, and there we go. So there you go. Those are kind of some of the new updated tools with the latest version of the environment plugin. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you want to get this project file, you can find that on my Patreon page, which I'm going to include in the description of this video and also up in the cards above. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.